Buenas tardes a todas y a todos. Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the last of the series of 3 lectures conference with the title A Closer Look at Ukraine, War and Testimonies of Life. I want to welcome to everyone to this last conference, and the aim of these lectures is to provide information about the historical context of Ukraine and the consequences of the war for the population. With this goal in mind, in this conference, we gather and share testimonies of both refugees and those persons who remain in the country. In this context, our university is strongly committed to promoting peace and protecting the most vulnerable persons. Indeed, the status of the University Jaume I includes freedom, democracy, justice, the integration of disadvantaged groups, peace, solidarity, and they are the principles guiding the activity of our university. Our university is also firmly committed to social engagement through actions focused on our local environment, but also at the European level and international level, getting directly involved in the construction of Europe under the principle of humanism and working in peace. That is, we at the university feel the duty that we need to welcome refugee university staff and students from Ukraine and providing with all the resources that are available to us so they can continue their academic career and, of course, their education. At the same time, we also have the chance to carry on their lives despite the adverse circumstances, something that we're talking in a minute. In addition, our university is really welcome and they are here with us. We are really happy to welcome several Ukrainian researchers that they are going to give their testimony today. And the knowledge and the professional experience we are sharing with them, they are really an asset for our university and the development of the different activities. I also want to thank a part of the researchers that we are welcoming, our 2 speakers, and in general, all speakers that participated in the conference. In the conference we are going to have today, they are going to provide us with a clearer perspective on the current situation of the war, as well as the consequences for the society, the population, from a physical, emotional, and psychological point of view. And I thank you for your attention. And just to start, I want to introduce first Victoria Dobrotun, is assistant professor at the Educational and Scientific Institute of Philology in the Taras Shevchenko National University in Kyiv. And she's going to give us her view on the situation. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay, so thank you very much. And it's an honor for me to be here with you today and to share my knowledge, my experience. And dear participants and dear colleagues, so as you know, the topic of our meeting is testimonies on life by refugees from the war in Ukraine. But just let me share my screen. Tell me whether it's in the presentation mode. Yeah? Okay. So, and you know, to today's speech, I'd like to devote, first of all, to the history of my university where I work. And that is the Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. So just, you know, in our everyday life, we also use KNU, abbreviation KNU. Yeah, like UHI, yeah, the way you do, so the same is in our country. So KNU is the university where I teach. And today I would like to share the information about our university. And also I would like to say a few words about my experience of living these 3 weeks in Kyiv. And of course, about the process of my integration into UHI academic environment. Then I hope that my students Anna and Yaroslava, who are the students of the third year of studying, will share their experience of teaching and working with kids. As you see on this slide, the red building of our university. This is the main building of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. And just to begin with, I would like to mention that our university is a classic university with a distinct research profile and the leading contemporary academic and educational hub of Ukraine. So let's have a look at this slide. And on this slide, so I have decided to show you the coat of arms of our university. And as you see in the center of that, there is the red building of our university, which is our, main part, the main building. And, in this coat of arms, the university is in the central position of the composition of its whole composition, because university is a place where people should receive knowledge, yes, and just make our world better using the knowledge they receive. And here, just on the left side, you can see the patron of Kyiv, and that is the Archangel Mikhail. And on the right side, that is the picture of the Grand Volodymyr. Of course, university's history dates back to 1834, and that is the year when our university was founded. Of course, the history is very long, and there are a lot of interesting facts, but today still I'll speak about many other things, not just, I wouldn't, spend a lot of, or devote a lot of time to the history. I just want to mention that our university was granted the status of national in 1994. And then, as for the structure of our university, so we have 8 institutes, 13 faculties within our university. And we also have a training and research center where our students can practice their skills, and they do their research. That is the training and research center, first of all, of biology. Then we have colleges and, of course, lyceum. Before the war, our university collaborated with many countries, and you can see on my slide that we've got contracts with more than 55 countries, and a great number of teachers, lecturers, and academics visited our university in order to share their knowledge with our students. And at the same time, our students could have that opportunity. And I hope that after the war, we'll continue the tradition of visiting other countries in order to receive new knowledge, to understand the world and to spread the knowledge of ourselves. And I know that the statistics is very old, and during this year, many memorandums and different agreements have been signed by different teachers, but unfortunately now I can't share the information with you. And sorry. Then next, let's have a look at the map of our country. Actually, I decided to use the picture of Europe. Yeah, this is a part of Europe, and you can see the location. Yeah, so you can see where our country is located, and you can also see the neighbors. Unfortunately, Ukraine, sorry, Ukraine borders with different countries. And for example, the biggest part we had to share with Russia. Yeah, and according to the statistics, 43 million of people lived on the territory of Ukraine. But now you can see that unfortunately the number of those who are in the country reduced. And I have found the information about the country and how people moved from Ukraine. So, of course, the easiest way for many people was to cross borders with those places or countries which were very close. And so that is about Poland. Yeah. And you can also see the number of people who moved from Ukraine to Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Moldova, and Russia. But at the same time, a lot of people had to move on the territory of Ukraine. So they were displaced. Yeah, they had to move to other places which were considered to be safe. And according to the latest United Nations data, so the current population of Ukraine is 42 million, yes, and you can see that 8 million and 2, yeah, moved from Ukraine, and they were registered across Europe. Then what else I want to share with you is like being here, I use every day this application that is on my phone, and I decided to show you how it works. So, for example, if the situation is really very dangerous, so we see that map, like region by region, slowly they turned into red color. And here on my slide, you can see the dates and the hours. And that is when we had air raid siren. So unfortunately, it's very difficult to live when you don't have enough time to sleep and to rest. And have a look, for example, on the 29th of May, there were 3 sirens during the day. Yeah, so at night people stay at home, some of them go to shelters, others couldn't find the shelter because of different reasons, so they had to stay in their homes. And like the example is the 28th of May, when overnight, Ukraine and all people had to suffer those almost 6 hours, yes, siren. And the air raid alert lasted more than 5 hours. Of course, it was very complicated. And Russia carried out overnight the largest drone attack on the city of Kyiv since Moscow launched its invasion of Ukraine. And during that night, Ukrainians' air defense system shot down 52, out of 54 Russian drones. It was exceptional in its density. Sorry. And the airstrikes were carried out by Iranian-made drones, and there were 2 waves. Yeah, so that is, the way people live. And I decided to show you the pictures. Yeah, that is like the house and the property of one family. So that is what happened later. Yeah, so the house is ruined, destroyed, and have a look at their car. So also the problem is very, serious. And unfortunately, there is a serious danger of being wounded, of just not only that it doesn't mean that all the buildings could suffer. Yeah, people could suffer, and they suffer as well. And you can see then that everything is in damage in the house, and the glass is everywhere, and that is very dangerous because the wave is so strong that people have to cover and glue the glasses and try to protect their houses. And I also want to share with you another experience. And try to be on the positive side. That I say in Spain, and I am really very thankful, and I am very glad that I can use the opportunity and integrate it into your academic environment. And during this stay, I tried to learn something new for myself, and thanks to Immaculada Fortanet, I learned what is virtual exchange. We talk a lot about mobility, and we know that it's really very important to let students to go somewhere and try something new. And Inma helped me to use this very interesting model of virtual exchange. And we tried with her, and we involved my students and the students of their 4th year of studying, and she also involved her students, and our students collaborated together during 2 weeks. So the task for them was to communicate, to set the contact, and to find out more about the country, about the life, about the culture. And I know that even some of them made friends, and they continue to text each other. And that's also very positive thing, yeah. And maybe in future they will visit each other. So what we did, we have chosen some articles for our students to read, And they did that together outside the classroom. Then they had to communicate, to discuss those points, and to watch video and discuss the topic during when they were in the classroom. And later, the task was to write an essay. So that was, like the collaborative activity. And they shared later their experience, and they wrote many beautiful words to praise each other, and they were very glad to have the experience and communicate. So that's why I try to be on the positive side. Yeah, and again, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to integrate into your environment and to know something, to learn something new. Thank you very much, and I think that my students will continue. Yeah. So, but.
Thank you, Victoria. According to your testimony, let me just 2 seconds introducing Natalia, but if you want, Anna and Yarostava could speak at the end. We first collect all your testimonies, if it's okay for you. But something that is, I would like to thank you actually, because there is, it's not that we are collaborating and helping you, but you are helping us in the developing of our internationalization policy. And that's why I want to help you. And the way, and to thank you also, and Immaculada, of course, for the way you use the digital tools to implement this collaborative online international learning, that I think is one of powerful tools that could help each other, not just the university helping your students, but your students and your university helping our students and our professors. And I just want to thank you also for this initiative. And now we continue with Natalia Lytvyn. She's PhD in Historical Science and Associate Professor at the Department of Philosophy, Sociology and Political Science at the State University of Trade and Economics in Kyiv. Natalia, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I try to share my screen to introduce my speech. Okay. One moment. You can see my screen, old screen, yes? So today I try to speak in English. It's good for me for practice, not only Spanish language, but I would like to practice now English. And before starting my speech, I would like to say big thanks for this possibility to share with students, Spanish professor students, our experience how refuse. I begin my story with these words. Never say never, because things can happen in the life of any person, can be unaccepted, which can turn your life immediately. This is what happened to me when I remember I was receiving B2 Spanish language certificate from the Cervantes Institute in Kyiv in year 18. I remember that I skeptically said, okay, I got this certificate, what's next? Anyway, Spanish language is only my hobby. And now I am live in Spain. I am stay in Spain. more than 1 year. And I have wonderful friendships with the local people. And in addition, I started my research work with the Jaume I University, and especially for knowing Spanish. Thanks to knowing Spanish, it for me now it easy communicate of the Spanish people. So I try to share with us my experience, how happens with me here, which problems I had here in the first month, and a little tell about my private story. On February 18, I had planned to go to Valencia. I have my tickets, return tickets to Kyiv. I had planned to stay in Valencia only 1 week, because I had planned to return to continue my job at the university with my students. And what happens? I remember that I had only my little hand luggage, my backpack, anything more, because only 1 week. And 24 February, I was horrified to be informed about the terrible events in Kyiv and near the Kyiv. It was not a terrible dream, it was a terrible reality. But I remember that in that moment, 24, when all started, I was not surprised. Although I remember that in December, I had a lot of gossip more than once about a possible Russian attack on Ukraine. And this speech I had of my friends, military friends, that somewhere I had hope that this would not happen. But common sense, I suggested that it was very real. I remember that at the time of departure in Kyiv of Borispol airport, I felt very sad and very bad. How to say, if something can be happen. I was thinking about how to build my speech and share the experience of refuge after this terrible war, and I decided to go through my memories or Facebook post, because each my post on Facebook that has date is how reflects my emotions that I felt at that moment. So let's start. I would like to share these things. This video shows us how Ukrainians live every night, every day. In this moment, it's night. This video sent me my brother from Kyiv. With feeling of fear that any moment rockets may fly and something can be exploded. But what I want to say is that those people who left country, how I am before when start war, and Ukrainian people who left country after the 24th of February, couldn't live peaceful, couldn't live, how to say, not thinking about Ukrainian, not thinking about family, friends. For example, I couldn't sleep too. I stay very far from Kyiv, but of course in Kyiv live my brother, my mother, and when I look this application that every Ukrainian has in their phone, I couldn't sleep too. In addition, in the last time, I talk with my relatives and ask how they sleep at night. They answered me, we're used to it. I couldn't understand how it's possible to say these things, but with time, past 1 year, more than 1 year, you understand that people adapted. When you look at the phone where we have special programs that say Victoria, for example, in Kyiv, the program shows 780 alarms in a year and 2 months. It's impossible if you look application and during the day you have 4 or 3 alarms, will not make a person run somewhere every time, because it's impossible, especially at night. So I see that many people have learned not to react. Eat and go on with their lives, doing their deals, their things, although there is a great danger in this. I told this history in date 17, that 25 of February, it was the scariest moment of my life. I did not sleep all night because there was a message on the internet about massive attack in Kyiv. I couldn't, in that moment, I couldn't call my mother. After I read the news that a remnant of rocket fell on house next the my house building in the near the street, and of course after that I could call with my mom, and in that moment my mother was sitting in the basement of the boarding school, and imagine how I felt at that moment. So it's a result of an attack, missile shot down in the Ukrainian building, in the Ukrainian residence that stay near my street. I would like to share with us next slide that in Facebook I highlighted the words of the famous Ukrainian poet Lina Kostenko, who was a dissident in Ukraine in the year 16. She was subjected to repressions and by communist regime, because intelligent people, professors, Ukrainian poets, Ukrainian dissidents stood up for their public rights and freedom of speech. Many dissidents were killed by Soviet regime just for right to express their opinion. Lina Kostenko survived. We can show a photo on the right, and still live this woman, and writes beautiful poems that we can look in internet, and these words we can observe how say to all world what happens in Ukraine. Poems of Lina Kostenko raise the fighting, how to say, spirit of our soldiers. On the next slide that I published in my Facebook, 24 of April, I published post with name Without Wars. It was an expression of my emotions about what was happening in Ukraine at that time, when the image of Ukraine was equated with the image of Jesus Christ, who carry his cross. That it's how suffering Ukraine were associated with the suffering of Jesus. I am history teacher. I am a lot of year work at university, and of course I couldn't remain silent about the genocide that Ukraine had in year 32-33 during the Holodomor. We had the period of repression, the policy of Russification, violence, murders, and more. These pictures that I published is very relevant now when we see Russian war criminals against Ukraine. 10 of May, I lived one post. We all read the news and so on TV, what happened in Mariupol, Azovstal, where our boys fight until the end, where the world saw these abuses and murders and what conditions they stayed. How I say, I have been working 18 years at the university. I work with young people. And it hurts me seeing how young guys, including students, and some of my students who went to war, will never come back. I did post. The tragedy is that in this war, Russia uses criminals and Ukrainian is losing the color of the nation. Next slide. The most terrible things that Russia continue to kill our children, our future, and no one can stop it. And 14th of June, I did one post about tragedy in Vinnytsia. It's a city not far from Kyiv, where in the morning in the city center were many people, because in the day was a fair. A Russian rocket hit civilian people. My aunt got on the trolley bus 10 minutes before. 10 minutes before the tragedy and drove away, but she saw how this rocket flew. I have been in Vinnytsia a lot of times. I know this center very good. People, children died and many were injured. I published this post because I was struck by the opinion that I met here, not only here, also Ukrainian people who lived in Spain very long time told me, if we gave the territory of Donbass, Lugansk to Russia, maybe there would not be a war. But how could such a thing be said, knowing how many of our boys died and continue to die? The questions for what? Just like to give the territory for which we low down our lives, besides we are independent country with our historical borders, and we did not start a war, and we didn't cross other people borders. I always give an answer to such people who told me these things that I told before. If a neighbor came to your house and told you, I will live here, what would you do? Immediately, this opinion lose their meaning. In Facebook, I lived this my post in my that can see all people. Will the future generation appreciate this, and will they remember the history of our tragedy history? I think so, but there are doubts about the people who continue, despite all the events, to speak about only military operations. After that, 21 of September, I post again words of Lina Kostenko. The world needs to see the truth. A rocket attack on the civilian population in Zaporozhye. Zaporozhye, it's a very big city too. Destroyed residential and private houses in which people just slept at night, just lived. Victoria before told about University Taras Shevchenko. This post about my university too, because I studied a lot of years in this university and a little period I worked there. This university is located in Kyiv city center, where near there is one park, beautiful park. We can observe terrible things in 10 of November when a rocket crossing the road, more the ones of yellow building where a died person who died as a result of the bombing. It was a young girl, we can observe, probably was a student. I couldn't see these things because a lot of years I crossing this road near the yellow building and near the red building, and after that look this photo, it's very terrible. 23 of November, I did post about the Russia is #1 of terrorist and murder country. Very difficult was for Ukrainian people this day, 19th of December. 19th of December is a very special day for Ukrainian people. It's San Nikolai Day, and we celebrate in Ukraine this day. It's how similar with Three Kings in Spain. Reyes Magos, no, Los Reyes Magos. In this day, Ukrainian people usually give presents for children, and especially in this day, we light Christmas tree. And in this photo that I did post in Facebook, we can observe difference. The picture shows a comparison of the Christmas tree from previous year. Stories are written on the table. We write in blood on our land. Lina Kostenko. Terrible to remember that on December 31, when all world preparing us for celebrate New Year, festive tables, friends and family together in Ukraine, in that moment, massive attacks by Iranian drones. The pictures fill the whole internet, a very appropriate comparison, no? After that, I did post about Dnipro 14. Barbarians again attacked the city of Dnipro. Great losses. In this photo, I would like to show how Ukraine is man protections of Europe, how to say, an umbrella that protect Europe from terrorist country. And 24, 23, 1 year of war we will not forget. I was amazed by the event that went around the world when Ukrainian soldiers was shot in the head for saying only words, glory to Ukraine, just these words. It was similar in the history of Ukraine in year 21, the so-called tragedy near the city of Bazar, when our Ukrainian boys from the voluntary army of the Ukrainian People's Republic refused to go over to the side of the Bolshevik, were all shot in the head. It's the same. Uman, near the Kyiv, the same. Ingumans continue to kill the civilian population, children, everyone in a row, and the world can stop this evil and this dishonor. In this photo that I published, I choose these pictures, which shows us the run childhood, our children, childhood destroyed. Who can our children can't enjoy the period of beautiful period of childhood, and should move in an other country. And for example, I have Ukrainian friends who have children, and what I can say that children of the age 14, 16 couldn't adapt it and have very big problems. I mean psychological problems, because for example, if we talk about a little children, for ellos, for this simply adaptation, but for children have teenager, change environment, change friends, change school, change country, it's very difficult. And I know now a lot of problems with this kind of children, especially mind problems. About my experience, I would like to say that I saw how it's difficult for Ukrainian to adapt to new conditions, especially without knowing language. But people simply had no choice. They went to where there was a possibility, of salvation. I become a member of the Red Cross organization, and more than once helped Ukrainian people with translation into Spanish. I had a family Ukrainian that I remember a lot of days. I went to the hospital. I work half translation, and I see that for these people who can't speak in English and Spanish, very difficult to adapt it. And for closing my speech, I would like to terminar, or finish my speech on positive things, because all people have problems with adaptation, but with support of other people, for example, Red Cross volunteers and ordinary people who helped with clothes, with medicine, and most importantly, with words of support for us, is very important. Very big thanks for management of university that understood our tragedy, how to say, provided all the opportunity to work, proposed computer, proposed office, access to the library, to gym, that we think, okay, not how at home, but that we have all conditions for continue to work. So I would finish in the positive note, because in the I would like to show this video about one manifestation in Valencia, in Plaza de Virgen, where we can observe how Ukrainians now very unity. And also in this video we can escuchar here words that Putin is a murderer. That's all. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Natalia. Something I would like to stress also from your conference is also, as Victoria, you finished with something good. I mean, out of all these disasters, something good it's appearing. But I think it's also the sense that, as you said, when you said your relatives, the people you know, they got used. At the end, we need to survive. And for survival, we need to protect ourselves also mentally, as you said, getting used. And I think this is something we should deal with. But I think there is something very important that you said at the beginning, and I would like to stress, that is that your life changed in a second. And that we should be ready for this to happen. And if you allow me the expression, we should fight for peace, in the sense that we should work in all the realm, with education, with civil behavior, with all the tools we have to contribute to peace, to integration, to equality. And especially for young people, we cannot be aware of what you are feeling because we didn't feel the same. We can see pictures, but I can tell you that we are not aware, but still we should take your experience and be ready and try, as part of our job, that these kind of things will not happen again. So I want to thank you also for your impressive testimony. And now I think it's already there. Olesia Yatkunska is Senior Lecturer of the Department of Accounting in the Odessa National Economic University. Welcome, Olesia, and the floor is yours.
Hola, buenos días. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Let me introduce myself. My name is Olesia Yatkunska, and I'm PhD of Department Accounting, Analysis and Auditing of Odessa National Economic University. For today, we are finishing a series of lectures about testimonies on life by figures from the war on Ukraine. We listen many stories about our life, our country, and our life, because each of us has own story. And the topic of my presentation is everything will pass, but we must believe in the future. You recognize King Solomon's phrase, everything will pass. It means that our life never been the same, but we have to do everything you can and make the future better. The purpose we talk two questions. There is a city that I see in my dreams. In this context, in this part, I will introduce you our city, Odessa, and our life before February 24. And the second part, I introduce you to change my life and my family after the February 24. And you can see our flags. Bandera is the Bandera Odessa, and Spanish Valencia Bandera. I think maybe they're the same. Some colors the same. Some information about Ukraine. About Ukraine and about Odessa. In previous lecture, we talked about economic and about culture aspects in Ukrainian development. Today, I want to introduce you to Odessa, that call it a southern capital of Ukraine, or southern Palmyra, or Pearl by the Sea. There is a city that I see in my dreams. This word, our famous singer Leonid Utesov, and this things is some like hymn our city. Odessa region is the largest region from Ukraine. Its area more 33,000 kilometers. It's like Moldova or Belgium. And population now in 2024 is about 2 million people. Odessa, Ukraine, like Spain, have many sea and river ports. But it's about 80. And in Odessa, we have 8 ports in Ukrainian. Is seaports and river ports. What about Odessa? Odessa was founded in September 1794. This is a younger city in Ukrainian. For example, Kyiv in 2023 celebrated its 41 birthday. But Odessa founded as a growth of culture and is intended to be an important trade port, as nowadays considered to be the southern capital of Ukraine. And now we can see Odessa today is the big port. Our ports can take a big ferry, and Odessa as a port city in the mid of 19th century became the center of the transit and intermediary trade of Europe and Middle East. This fact contribute to the economic and cultural development of our region. In 2021, Odessa also showed the city's level of economic development. Thus, the region ranks 7th place by the level of gross regional product. We can see the third place is Kyiv, and Odessa is the 7th place. We can say that Odessa is economic development country in Europe. And another aspect that I can try to explain is IFRS adoption. Is some specific question about accounting. As this is plan of use IFRS in Europe, this information about 2018 reads its country that use IFRS international financial standards. In Ukraine as well, only Switzerland not use IFRS adoption. But what we can see that missions of IFRS standards and bring transparency, accountability, and efficiently to financial market around the world, stability in the global economy. I can say that Ukrainian is a part of Europe, and we introduce IFRS standards because we want be in Europe. And this table file, we can say that IFRS Foundation analysis of different jurisdictions is 178 jurisdictions, and including G20 jurisdiction, it's May 2023. How many jurisdictions its country use IFRS? And we see that Europe is the must. 146 jurisdictions requiring IFRS for the listing company, Ukrainian as well. And only 22 jurisdictions have not adopted IFRS. And interesting numbers is 27,000 that company is listing companies that use IFRS. And what about Ukraine? And about Ukraine, we use IFRS from 2011, 11 years. And we can say the rank of IFRS adoption in Ukraine. It's a company. Mr. Kyiv in Odessa, it's a 5th place. And total companies, it's 4,000. And 20,000 is all the piece. So we can tell that we active IFRS adoption. And we IFRS adoption not only for listing companies. So we use an insurance companies, other companies that prepare in financial market, business entity operating in the extracted in company, parents company of big group. It's many companies and voluntary adoption that we provided in our country. And some question about culture of Odessa. Odessa is a multinational culture, a multinational city. In our city, you can see church, Christians, Orthodox and Catholic church, synagogue, Arabский cultural center. We can see in Odessa. And interesting fact that when the war started, all this church, they will together say that not the war, please, not the war. What about our names of street? All nationals take part in our development. And we can see name of our street: French Boulevard, Greek Square, Yiddish Street, Moldavanka, Italian Boulevard as well. And in fact, what's the same is Spain and Odessa. We have a main road in our city is Deribasovskaya Street. It's some like Boulevard Rambla in Barcelona. It's Deribasovskaya Street named for Deribasovskaya it's Don Jose de Ribas. It's Spanish nobleman, the first mayor of Odessa and port of Odessa. And here, this is here monument. He is equipment because he town hour and the plan of Odessa. And we have monuments of Spanish people in our city. It's the purple of our city, Odessa Opera House. Is the same like Dresden Opera. Is the same. Next interest fact that in this middle of our city we have Allee of Stars in Odessa. It's Mikhail Zhvanetsky, Yuri Alesha, Isaac Babel, Anna Akhmatova, Kira Muratova. It's many people who lived and worked in Odessa. And I have some question for you. Do you know celebrities, modern celebrities who have a background in Odessa? I show you these people. It's Woody Goldberg, her grandmother from Odessa. Leonardo DiCaprio, his grandparents is from Odessa. Steven Spielberg, the grandfather lives in Odessa, and another Кам'янець-Подольський, and their favorite dishes is Ukrainsky борщ. Sylvester Stallone, her grandma Benovich was native in Odessa. And different, David Copperfield, Joe Dassin. Joe Dassin, we can show your surname. It's Desin, Desin. It's a mistake in your surname when his grandfather immigrated from the United States to Odessa. И Kirk и Michael Douglas is Danilovich Demsky is from Odessa. It's some interesting Odessa. But now, what stay after the 24th February? We can see Deribasovskaya Street is the main road of our city. It's opera house with some blocks. It's our main buildings. Next, as this is photo my son. We have some places near our town, some like Benicassim, Castellon, where is the many hotels. And my son, Esther, my son, with his friends, he play football, and this is football camp. And it was in 2021, but now, after that, this is football camp. Next, our university has a hotel on Karolina Bugaz. It's on the sea. Every year, we, with my students, go to our hotel and take exam in the summer in these our hotels. But now, in this year, we can do it. It was, but now, what we must do? In order to clean the territory where the troops are located is 1 to 10. That is, the Russians are now fighting for a year. This 10 years we have to clear mines. If we fight another years, when we will have to mines for 20 years. And about 20% of territory of Ukraine is mined. This area was mined. Odessa no red, but Odessa is so mined because first day of the war, it was attacked the Kyiv, and Odessa was attacked from the sea. And all the sea is mined. And now we can see, hear news that mined in Turkish, Bulgaria, in Constanța, Romania. So all our beach we don't use because all our beach is mined. And another question about my life. 24 February, we wake up from for dangerous. It was very strange. We don't understand what happened, and no news on televisions, no news on phone, And only we take a message from universities that today we must work online, and we start work online. And we understand that we need to do something because we live near the sea, and we start to see from window ships that erode the sea, and start to work alarm. And we live on 11th floor, and we decided that we need to prepare our parking for life. And we prepare our parking for life. 3 nights we sleep, all house apartments sleep in the parking. After that, we decided what we need to leave our country because we have child. And we go to Bulgaria. Bulgaria, because my husband has neighbors in this country. And this first week when we was in Bulgaria is the newspaper from Bulgaria, and they take our interview for us. It's 10th of March, and 10th of March. Estami, son of my brother, Estami, this is I, my son, and my husband. And when we talk about situation in Ukrainian, in this interview, my nephew is 6 years old. He said, Mom, Alessia always cry. He is always cry. But I say, our earth has existed for millions of years, and it's not going to die now. Don't cry. Don't cry. So we stay a few weeks in Bulgaria, but then we understand that war is no go. And we decided to go to Spain. Why to Spain? Because Spain is like Odessa. It's near the sea. And there are friends waiting for us. These were Mercedes and Ruben Raminga. This is here photo. Mercedes and Ruben are Cuban and who studied in Odessa Maritime University with my brother's wife's mother. And they call us and come in, por favor. I understand. I was in Cuba. I know what is it. Please come in. I help you. And this photo Mercedes in Odessa Opera House. They visited us in 28. And Mercedes help us with all, with get for job, right to lead letter from university, get to school, get to documents, all get with hospital language, all questions. It was Mercedes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And after that, when I write with Mercedes letter to university, I was to invite in university. And now, thank you for you. I take part of quantitative finances, accounting, and economics research group. Now we work with Belaine project, the process of access to audit profession, divided Spain and Ukrainian. And together we organized with Belaine 2 conferences, 1 conference in April, scientific conference, and 1 conference on May, international conference. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support. And I want to finish work that said our First Lady of Ukraine. She said, we fight not only for ourselves, so that not one in the world feels aggression and is able to grow and develop in their land friendly. And what's the lifestyle in Ukraine now? Taking risk every day. Each and every one does their job, investing in victory. We move like train on a shuttle. And I believe that we must need all that we must. And we, like train on a shuttle, be in Ukrainian. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Olesia. It's always very impressive, your testimonies, and especially when you introduce your family. This is something, I mean, I have no words to say, but I also like to stress something on your talk, and something in common that makes me happy despite the situation, that you always look everything from a positive side. And as you said, again, everything will pass, and we should work for the future, and we are working. And I would like to thank you also for the description you made of your region. And something I would like to stress, because I think it's very important, is that it's a crossroads of culture. I think this is important because the living together, we are used to this. We are not used to what is happening now, but we are in a tradition, especially also in Spain. We were always welcoming, and we were a mixture of cultures, and we are like this. So, and I like also the perspective you gave about the opening of Ukraine using the financial rules, the IFRS, and because this is a different perspective. So I think from all the three talks, we got a very full description of what's going on. And I want to thank you again for the testimonies. And as we said, children are the weakest, in a way the weakest, and in a way the strongest, because they adapt to everything, as you said. And I would like to also introduce Anna Shishkova and Yaroslava Kilisevich. They are students at as Victoria said, at the Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. And they are going to give us some overview on how to work with children, as in the presentation, the challenges of teaching in English in this time. Thank you, Anna and Yaroslava. The floor is yours.
Yes, my name is Yaroslava Kisilevich, and my dear colleague Anna Shishkova, also a third-year student of the educational program Theory and Methodology of Teaching of the Ukrainian Language and Literature, Foreign Language, and I want to share our experience of teaching English during wartime, namely related to this process challenges. The level of anxiety and stress both among teachers and students is increased and causes a decrease in the quality of providing and receiving educational services. War changes people's values. Unfortunately, self-development and desire to acquire new skills lose relevance when missiles fly overhead. And disruption of the educational process during air raids. Ukrainian teachers try their best to continue teaching students even in bomb shelters, because educated youth is the future of Ukraine. And however, cold basements are not equipped with the appropriate educational equipment and are not suitable for normal perception of material.
The next challenge is the impossibility of usage of the internet resources due to global blackouts all over the country, which were indispensable assistance for English language teachers. And Ukrainian teachers can be confidently called progressive and techno-friendly, but before the war, it would be difficult to imagine an English lesson without presentation, without educational games, interactive internet tasks, video discussions, etc. But in autumn and in winter, Kyiv, the capital, as well as other cities and villages, suffered from a total blackouts. So the book and notebook have regained their relevance. This is actually very disappointing, and on the slide you can see the part of Kyiv city, namely the Motherland Monument, which actually symbolized the victory over the Nazi Germany. Reduction in the number of school students due to mass immigration is the next topic. Sometimes in autumn and winter, there were only 20% of students who were able to attend classes. Such trends were extremely frustrating because they hindered opportunities for teamwork on the lessons. And we all know that the communication is the key of the required quality of language learning.
Poland accepted the most refugees, 1,553,707 people, amongst other countries from February 24 to January 3, Germany, the Czech Republic, Italy, Spain, Bulgaria, France, the United Kingdom, Romania, and Slovakia accepted the most Ukrainian refugees.
Also, while working in shelters, Ukrainian teachers have no possibility of giving students creative homework because students do not often have the technical supplies to complete the task. And obviously, students face a lot of stress and tension, which create difficulties in meeting the requirements of the assignment. So you can see the total difference between these two photos. So the difference is just huge.
Unfortunately, due to constant air alarms and power outages, we were forced to reorganize and partially switch from asynchronous to an asynchronous format of work. It is worth saying that we are convinced of the effectiveness of using advanced methods such as the flipped class. For example, in the 5th grade, it is important to emphasize the practical application of the material and the development of children's imaginations and creative speech.
Of course, for learning and systematization of new vocabulary, as well as training in the use of the grammatical construction, general control of assessment of educational results in English, in the conditions of asynchronous distance learning, we should use a number of interactive educational platforms and applications. In particular, to help students to acquire new vocabulary, we often use platforms that allow us to do this without time constraints and even with the low speed of the internet connection, like Quizlet, Kyiv, Kahoot, and so on. Among the useful activities to memorize new vocabulary are flashcards, interactive exercises, tasks for revising study material, and so on. And for monitoring and assessment storage of educational materials, teachers use Google Classroom and ClassTime. We try our best to do everything possible, but it's really hard to do like this. Especially it was very difficult in autumn and in winter when we had total blackouts and we had no internet connection, but we tried our best and we believe that everything will be fine. We also have this positive mood for the future, so we strive for our future and for our future generations.
It is a big pity, but at that time we didn't witness positive trends about the situation in Ukraine, so we are forced to gradually abandon many technical hacks for education and use traditional paper textbooks and notebooks. Fortunately, the situation has improved. Probably the motto of the century for Ukrainians now is like, when you learn something new, don't forget about the proven old.
And even in extremely difficult conditions, we try to do everything that depends on us, as I said, to ensure a high quality educational process. Thanks for listening. That's all that we have for now.
Thank you, Anna and Yaroslava. I think this is a very nice example of adapting, on doing your best. Actually, we were talking about the future. You are the future, and your students are the future, and you're adaptive. And at the end, we need to adapt to the worst circumstances. And always, as you said, the paper textbooks, we are going back to the basics, and they are still working, because this is my generation. Your generation is digital, but still the paper and pencil still work. It's always working. And it's a help. So I can just congratulate for your initiatives and the effort, and give all the support. And actually, if there is something that we can help you, I mean, Victoria knows the resources we have in our university. I think the online collaboration that Victoria already started, it could be a good collaborative tool. And I don't know. I'm sorry to take so much time, but for me it was really impressive for all your seminars or your speeches. And I just leave the floor now to the persons participating in the audience to give their comments, if there are questions.
There are some questions or no?
We don't have any question. No.
Okay, so if I may have a question, I'm just taking advantage.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask to Victoria, because I know Taras Shevchenko is a very big university. You said about some numbers about your professors visiting and students also going abroad. How many students do you have in Taras Shevchenko?
So I think that I should Google. Yours, can you
sorry.
help me?
It is around 23,000.
23,000.
Yeah. So it's huge. For example, our institute, I mean, the Institute of Philology. So the staff, member staff is 400 and something. So I mean, yeah, and in our institute, students can study different languages. 33 languages are taught.
Okay,
So,
and what about Natalia? I just wanted to get an idea about the size of your universities. What about the State University of Trade and Economics?
Yes, it's a very was very popular university in year 60-70. It's the first university that that about trade and commercial. Vamos a decir negocio. It's a very famous university in Ukraine, but now if compare with Taras Shevchenko, of course, it's big difference, because Taras Shevchenko University is very famous. All Ukrainian, and not only Ukrainian, European people knows about this university, because it's a how Salamanca University, very old, is the same. Because if we talk about history and quality of education, of course, is Taras Shevchenko University.
You studied there, you said.
Yes, I study and work. But about our university, it's very specifically in trade, in commercial business. It's more, maybe I can say more, who use a lot of international programs to have maybe work enough with Greece, with Turkey, with, for example, we have one facultat, restaurant hotels business. So maybe for people who choose this university is better, but for quality and for famous, of course, Taras Shevchenko is the best in Ukraine. You know, I know, because I studied there. I defended my professor's degree there, and I work a little there. So it's my opinion.
No, I knew the Taras Shevchenko, and was considered the best university.
Our university is famous, but not of very famous how Taras Shevchenko University, but it's university more specifically for business.
Exactly. Usually, yes. When you are more specific, the size is different.
Yes.
But you are all in Kyiv, so.
No, we have in Dnipropetrovsk, Odessa filials. We have enough too.
And what about Olesia, your university, the Odessa National? It's also economic university.
Yes, our university is not so huge, some like Shevchenko, But because we have another structure in Ukraine, we don't have one university in the city. For example, in Odessa, we have Polytechnica, networks of medicine, of technology, economic university, agriculture university, many universities we have in our city, in the same city in Ukraine as well. But what I can say about our university, as our program accounting auditing is accredited international organization from accounting, ECCA, and accredited in Ukraine, how I know, 2 universities, is or Shevchenko or Natalia Lytvyn. It's only 2 universities in Ukraine accredited by CCCA, and our program accredited by CIMA, as well of international organization. So I think that our university in the south of the Ukraine is economic university is the best.
No, I just can congratulate all of you for all your testimonies. And what I wanted to conclude in a way is that I ask about your universities because you have different realities, but it's the same at the end. You are facing the same situation and you are dealing with this situation in the best possible way. I hope you all feel welcome, but I think the relationship should be two-sided. Of course, we will collaborate with you, but I think we could learn a lot from you and your experiences. And I think, for example, the testimony of Yaroslava and Anna could help our students in the teaching specialty to see how you should adapt to the circumstances, and that education is fundamental, even in the worst circumstances. And this is something we do in the university. And these are the tools we have. And I really I want just to stress your contribution to this from different perspectives. All we share the university, of course, it's a very special environment, but still you are mixing the academic life with their personal life. That, of course, it's the most stressed part here. And I just wanted to congratulate you for all the things you are doing, really. And I feel I want you to feel at home here, even if you are here now and you will not be in the future. But I think something as ending with a message that you made, and it's common to all the speeches, it's hope, and there is a future. And I hope we have a future together, also collaborating. And if something good came out of this, is that we came across each other, and that this is going to be a long-standing relationship, that we are going to learn from each other and we are going to contribute to each other. And just as an official, if there are still no more questions,
No,
Mark?
no,
Okay.
there are no questions.
So just let me close officially with a short speech. Even I think I talked too much, but for me was really exciting and impressive, I must say. And I want to thank you again for your testimonial and sharing your most personal experiences, that I think is the most difficult part of your speeches. And with this roundtable, with this seminar today, we have reached the end of this series of lectures of the war in Ukraine. As I said at the beginning, we had a wider perspective, and our objective was always to raise awareness about the situation in Ukraine, to give a voice about what's happening in Ukraine. And I think in this cycle of seminars, we have learned through this series of lectures how the war in Ukraine affected different aspects of life, and causing, of course, a huge damage that we should not forget. Let me just briefly summarize what we learned from each one of the speeches. In the first of the seminaries, there was a talk actually it was Natalia and another colleague. And we got an introduction that I think was really interesting about the historical context of Ukraine. And I think this introduction helped us to better understand, of course, the present, its consequences of the past, and the present will influence the future. And I think to have this perspective gave us a broader view or about where we are. And I think about where we don't want to be and where we want to be in the future. So I thank you for this. Last week, there was a second conference where we had a closer look at the Ukrainian economic situation. And we were introduced on the measures that are being taken to soften the consequences, if we can call it like this. And some hints about the important challenges of tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen with reconstruction? And the challenges that we will face in this situation. And finally, in today's conference, just a small summary, we had the opportunity to listen to all your testimonies, as I said, from different perspectives, both academic and personal. I think that was the hardest part of all conferences. And just to close, I would like also, from an institutional point of view, to reinforce the commitment of our university, to reinforce our commitment in helping and protecting the most vulnerable. I was really impressed about children and the behavior of children and how children cope with this. And as university also, we have a strong commitment to the creation of culture and peace, based all this in the defense of human rights, equality, and equity. And of course, what we want to do is to contribute using all our tools to promote non-violence in societies. And I think this is a message that should be understood really important in a mainly part by young people. I mean, this is not going to happen again. And education, and as I said before, fighting, if I could say fighting for peace, it's important in our everyday life. And I think it's an important message, because this should not happen. We should learn from this kind of experiences. And of course, the only thing I have to say is I would like to thank you again for your contribution, for your experiences, of course, also to the persons who are attending all the conferences. And I just wish you all the best and let you know again that we are here. And I hope this is a very long relationship, even though this cycle of conferences is ending here. So I just declare closed officially this cycle of conferences, and thank you again for your contributions.
Thank you a lot for our support. I only want to say only words, because I am history teacher. I always say my students, who doesn't know history in the past will not know his future. Of course, we try to explain more deep what happens, but in perspective of historical view and economical view and mentality view and culture view. I hope that our speech will be interesting, was interesting for us. And very big thanks for this organization, this series of lectures.
Yes, I just want to, this cycle is going to be, as you see, it has been registered, and this is going to be given dissemination, so your message will reach longer and more far away. So we are doing all our best for this. And again, thank you for all the efforts you are doing.
Thank you.